All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Vend Talk, brought to you by Vend Guys. I'm your host, Zig. I'm here with Donald and Kashief from last week. We'll do a quick introduction since it's our second episode, so some of the listeners might still be new. I'm very new into the vending business. I've only been in it about 5 months now. I have a route with 5 locations, and I'm also a full-time firefighter in the city of Detroit. So this is kind of my side gig that I'm trying to build off of. And then we'll go into Donald. Go ahead.
My name is Donald Luxama. I'm a vending machine business owner here in the New Jersey area. I also make content with probably over 800,000 followers at the moment. And I'm currently right now traveling the world doing the vending machine world tour and just interviewing different vending machine business owners.
All right, and my name is Kashief Edwards. I'm also a vending machine business owner. I've been in the space for about 10 years. I started with gumball machines, built it out to a vending machine route. And I also have a large following where I help people get started in a business, and I'm excited. Let's do this.
And we're going high level today. We have a pro, what I would consider a pro operator in the vending world. We're here with Matt today. He's our guest, and we're just going to go into how he started and talk about his business and where he's taking it. So if you want, Matt, go ahead and tell us the bird's eye view. Like, just give us the breakdown quick about your business and who you are.
Sure. Thanks for having me, guys. My name is Matt Moran. I've been in the vending business now for the last 30 years. I started when I was, actually, it's a little over 30 years now. I started when I was 19 years old. I'm now 50. Put out my first gumball machine in a tiny little rest stop in the town of Tuxedo, New York. That gumball machine made me $40 in quarters for the month. That's it, $40, but I was hooked. So I went from that one gumball machine. I just kept saving my money, putting more and more gumball machines out. I started with gumball machines. I went to jukeboxes, pool tables, coin-operated arcade games. I finally got into soda and snack machines, and I built up a soda and snack business to do, my gross sales were $1.2 million. In 2011, I sold that business. Almost dollar for dollar. The deal I had made was 85 cents on the dollar, but on top of that, the gentleman who bought me bought my trucks, bought my inventory. I mean, it was an offer I couldn't refuse. That was in 2011. Dollar for dollar. So what I mean by I sold the business for 85 cents on the dollar, meaning it's 85% of whatever my gross revenue was. So at the time I was doing $1.2 million in sales. So the gentleman who bought me, he bought me at 85% of that. But on top of that, he bought my trucks and he bought my inventory. So it came out almost giving me exactly what I was making for the year. So instead of 85% of my gross annual sales, he gave me almost $1.2 million for my business. That was in 2011. I signed a non-compete with him to not compete with him for 2 years. I helped him out the best I could in that time frame. In that 2 years, the man lost a lot of business. I had all my old customers calling me back because I had created huge relationships with them, and they all wanted me to go back into the vending business, but there was nothing I could do. So one of my drivers that used to work for me during that time, he went into the vending business. So I kind of gave him some business here and there. I tried to help him out the best I could, and his business just kept getting bigger and bigger by my help. So when my non-compete was up, I formed a company with him, and we started all over again. That was in about 2013, 2014. We started the vending business all over again, and we are now double the size we were when I sold. I always joke and say, I don't know how to do anything else. I've been doing this since I was a teenager. So somebody told me once that vending is kind of like mercury. Once it gets in your system, it's hard to get out. And I'm starting to believe that because, like I said, I've been doing this for over 30 years now. So right now, I run about 4 trucks every day. 2024, we did about 2.4 million. And I'm guessing we're going to be probably pretty darn close to that for 2025. I think we'll probably be 2.6 million for 2025. That's kind of me in a nutshell. I also do operate ATM machines, and I got into a wall-mounted vending business kind of by accident, but we can discuss that later.
So you're pretty much into like any kind of vending you can think of, really.
Yeah, my old man used to say, if you throw enough crap against the wall, some of it's got to stick.
I like that. I like that. I have the same philosophy. Kashief started with you started with gumballs as well.
Yes, I have so many questions based off of what he just said.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
I did
sure.
start with gumball machines as well.
Yeah, I have one gumball vending machine. I only was able to ever place one.
You know that I started with the gumballs. I will never forget the day as long as I live. I was in Sam's Club in Middletown, New York. I was standing in the candy aisle and I saw a guy buying all sorts of bulk candy. And me being the talker I am, I said to him, if you don't mind me asking, why are you buying all this candy? And he explained to me everything he could about the gumball business in like 20 minutes. And I was hooked. I bought my first gumball machine from Sam's Club for like $100. I think that gave me a box of gumballs, a stand, and one head. And I was off to the races. I was off and running from there.
So as you stand right now, are you still in gumballs?
No, you know what? I haven't put any gumball machines out in quite some time. 3 years ago, I had some machines at a rest stop on the New York State Thruway, and the owner of the rest stop said, look, I'll give you the full service vending, I'll give you the beverage and the snack, but you have to do everything. You have to do gumball machines here, you have to do the cranes. So of course I couldn't turn it down. So that's really my only other venture into gumballs in the last 30 years. I operated gumball machines for probably about a year, maybe 2 years tops, and then I started going into everything else.
Have you ever seen like the big gumball vending machines, like the 7-foot ones? You ever get into one of those, or just like your average triple head, like your average like bulk vending machines?
No, I have seen those machines. They're really huge heads on them that you see in some of the malls. I never operated any of those. No, mine were more bulk candy, Skittles, Mike and Ike's, gumballs. I got into a little bit of capsules, but not much.
So I have a question. My question for you, because I get this all the time, also being someone who started with gumball machines. In today's day and age, right, where people don't really use coins as much, would you recommend somebody getting a gumball machine, or would you say now isn't like the right time to do it, or is that still an avenue you feel like people could start through from your personal,
So I tell everybody who wants to get started in the vending business that they should probably start with some sort of bulk type vending machine for a couple reasons. One, it's a minimal investment. You can buy a gumball machine for $100. The second reason why I think you should start with gumball machines is because it's easier to move a gumball machine if you lose a location than it is to move a 900-pound soda machine. You can throw that gumball machine in the back of your Honda Civic and go put it at another pizza place or another location. So I always recommend for people to start getting into the bulk vending business, bulk vending being gumball machines, just because it's a little easier. But you're right. You touched on a great point. Right now, my revenue in vending, 83% of my revenue, 83% of that 2.4 million is cashless. It's very few swipes, but it's a lot of people using their phones, people using their credit cards, just tapping it. So you're right. There's not a lot of people carrying cash anymore.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I felt the same way because I definitely, people always ask about the bulk thing. And I think that's an interesting, to me, I also feel like it's a great avenue to enter the business, mainly because I feel like it gives you a lot of practice with approaching, people to ask them about this, putting your service in their establishment and whatnot. Like you said, it's easy to move those machines. I used to ride around with them in my car and then go to different pizza shops and whatnot. But yeah. Okay.
I think COVID, it affected everybody, but I think it really put a hurting on the bulk vending business because everybody's afraid of being a germaphobe.
Yeah.
But, if you keep your machines clean and people see that they're clean, there's still money to be made.
So why vending machines though? Like, so you started at 19. What is going on at 19 years old that made you want to like, tap into that world, go that avenue, go down that avenue?
I was born with the bug, my friend. I was born with that hustle bug. You know what? I don't know. I just, I wanted to get into some sort of business at the time. I was a bad kid growing up, so I had to do some sort of legal business at 19. I thought, okay, if the gumball machine doesn't work, I'll put it in my apartment and, make my friends buy gumballs when they come over. It was a minimal investment, and I knew that I could make it into something decent. So at 19 years old, that was my mindset. I was just trying to get ahead.
Can I ask a question? So I only met probably like a couple vending machine business owners that ever touched like $1 million gross, were worth like $1 million and stuff. What mindset do you think that you need to have in order to like build like $1 million vending machine company? Because most people, like, they probably have a couple vending machine locations. They don't really go that far in terms of like building out like their vending machine business. Whether it might be like they don't have enough locations in their town, it might be a lot of competition. Like, what mindset do you think you need to have to become, let's say, a multi-millionaire with vending?
Question. Good question. For me, there's many reasons why I enjoy vending. And one of them, which people laugh at me when I say this, but I enjoy the thrill of the hunt. And what I mean by that is I like getting business. I love to get new accounts. So, I just keep building the business because, I mean, let's face it, you gain business and lose business. That's just part of vending. I mean, you try to maintain as much as you can, but at times you lose business. So I love getting new accounts. That's my thing. So when I first started, did I ever think in a million years that I would be grossing $1 million a year? Never. I mean, that's a lot of candy bars and soda, but it just started getting bigger and bigger. I will say this, you have to be good at rejection. You have to be good at rejection. As you guys know, you knock on a lot of doors. Let's say you knock on 20 doors. Probably realistically, 18 of them are probably going to turn you down. But somebody gave me the analogy one time. It was actually a friend of mine. When we were growing up, we used to go to nightclubs in the city all the time. And he said, this might be a weird analogy, but hear me out for a second. He said, you go into the club and you try to meet girls, and the first couple girls turn you down, and you feel insecure, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to approach another girl. But by the third or fourth girl that says no to you, by the fifth or sixth girl, you don't really care. You're hitting every girl there just to try to get her number. I know this is a weird analogy, but it's the same thing when it comes to sales. You have to be okay with a no. That first account's going to turn you down. The second account's going to turn you down. You just have to keep at it. You can't walk away and get all rejected and feel bad about yourself. You just got to keep going.
I think I talked about it in the last episode. There's a book called Go for No. It's a book that I read early in my journey starting my power washing business, Go for No. And basically the premise is you should be going for no. Get as many no's as you can, because you're going to get yeses in there. And if you're not going to get the yeses. You got to just keep asking and keep asking.
It's a numbers game. I mean, if you stand in Times Square and hand out your business card, the odds are pretty good. You hand them out to 100 people, somebody's going to say yes. So it's a numbers game. But to answer your question, I went off topic a little bit. My mindset in building that $1 million business was just, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I like getting new accounts. It's kind of a challenge for me.
Interesting.
So I got a question, because I want to kind of go back to the root of it. What made you switch over, from doing the gumball machines, to actually getting into the vending machines? Like, what was the, the pivotal moment where it was like, okay, I want to actually do vending machines instead of gumball machines? Because I know for me personally, I was kind of reluctant to do vending machines because I had got so used to the gumball machines. And mine is similar to yours. I was making like $40, $50, on the best ones. And I had like 20 something of them. And then, I had somebody talk me into doing actual vending machines. I didn't want to do it, but the guy just kept kind of talking about it. And I was like, you know what? Let me try it out. So what was that moment for you that made you kind of switch?
Similar story. I was living in a two-family apartment or two-family house. It was apartment on either side. And my neighbor I became very close with. And he said, I know you're doing gumball machines. He's like, but I overheard my father-in-law tell me that they're looking for somebody to put a soda machine in their warehouse. And I said, I'm in. I'll try it. Why not? This is before credit card readers too. It was only cash. I said, yeah, I'll give it a try. So I looked up to try to find a used vending machine. I think my first vending machine I bought, it was a soda machine made by a company called Fawn, which isn't even in business anymore. I think I paid $100 for my first soda machine. And I put it in there, and instead of doing $40 or $50 a month from a bulk vending machine, now I was doing more like $150 a month. I was like, yo, this is great. So that's really how I got, kind of by accident. I kind of got into the full line vending business by accident, I'll say. Yeah, there is. So the machine I had was made by a company called Fawn, but I think that they did do some sort of, I guess, collaboration with Witturn and USI.
Charlie, do you mind if we backtrack a little bit and kind of go the timeline of like when he went from the gumballs to how long before he had the, drivers and stuff like that? So yeah, all right. All right, so man, I got a question for you. You got into gumballs at 19 years old. How long was it where you're doing it by yourself to you're at a point where now you're gonna hire somebody and start going down that road?
So the gumball machines were easy to do by myself. I was working a full-time job. I was working for Swiss Army, like Swiss Army knives and watches. I was their purchasing agent. And on my lunch break, I would go try to get new accounts or go fill some gumball machines. So the gumball machines kind of made it easier to work a full-time job and do this on the side. The bigger and bigger the vending route became, when I started getting into soda machines and snack machines, it started getting harder and harder to do it by myself. At one point, I laugh now because at one point I was waking up at like 3:30 in the morning. I was trying to save money for my wedding to get married to my wife, who I'm still married to today, 26 years.
That's impressive.
I was trying to save money, so I was working a full-time job. I would wake up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I would deliver newspapers in my car, about 100 to 150 newspapers. Then when I was done with the newspapers, I would go to that warehouse where the soda machine was. I would fill the soda machine real quick. They opened up at like, I think 5 or 5:30. Then I would run home, take a shower, and go work my full-time job. That got tiring very quickly. So I started hiring people in my family to try to help me out and try to fill some of the machines. But it was a good couple of years that I was doing it as a side hustle. And then I actually teamed up with another vending company who I was friends with and made it a lot easier for me. So yeah, I ran it as long as I could by myself or as inexpensive as possible, hiring family and friends to help me. But it was a good four years of doing it part-time before I did it full-time and had actually employees to help me.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at something that Charlie was sending me. I'm seeing the chat now, Charlie.
Matt, your story is crazy, man. We have such similar stories because when I started, I swear to God, I was doing the exact same thing. I started mine because I was trying to save money and I was getting married, so I was doing it as a side hustle to save money for my wedding. So which is the person that I'm still married to today. So that's crazy. We have a very similar.
I always joke and I say, look, I say to my wife all the time, because although I have employees, it still takes up a lot of my time. But I always tell her, look, you knew what you were getting into when you married me. I've been doing this the entire time we've known each other, so you knew what you were getting into. For a while there was a problem with our credit card readers on our vending machines, and only American Express, for some reason, had my personal cell phone number. So instead of calling our office, I had people calling me on my cell phone literally at 1 o'clock in the morning to complain they lost their money in a vending machine. So I had to remind my wife, you knew what you were getting into and you signed up for this.
So you said it took you about 4 years before you could get to like just doing the vending full time?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Question:
Yeah,
Do you
I think
remember your
that's what
first?
everybody kind of wants to know. Like that's a question I get a lot. I get asked a lot on social media. Donald probably could speak to that too. But people always ask, how many vending machines do I need before I could just, quit my job? And it's not that simple because it's not like okay, you get 5 machines and you just go ahead and leave. No, it's like you could have 20 machines, right? And somebody could have 4 and they could be making more than you with those 4 machines than you making with 20. It just depends on the,
We have.
situation.
Go ahead, Charlie.
You have to know what you want to get into. Like I try to tell people who get into the vending business, you have to make a conscious decision. Are you doing this as a side hustle? Or are you doing this to be your income one day? So you have to kind of make that decision at some point. Are you going to take it to the next level? Are you going to make it your full-time income? Or are you okay with just making a couple $100 here or there to support your toys or whatever? It's complete.
With you personally, before you got started, what was your goal? Was you like, okay, I'm gonna do this full time, or was this like, I just want to do this as a side hustle?
You know that after the first one, I knew that I wanted to do it full time. And I knew it was going to be a lot harder to get to it full time doing bulk vending than it was if I was doing soda and snack machines. I mean, the average collection from some of my bulk machines were like 40 or $50 was a lot each month. I mean, I had a pizza place that was doing $80 a month. on a good month. So in order to make a full-time income and maintain your lifestyle you're accustomed to, I knew that I would need a ton of gumball machines, which is another reason why I kind of changed over to do full line vending, because the collections were a lot more and the profit was a lot better at times. But yeah, you got to make a conscious decision. But also, good point. Yeah, you could have 5 machines and your 5 machines could be making a ton of money. So it's a rough question to answer people when they ask you, how many machines do you need to do it full time? That's tough.
You can't really answer it that way. What would you say is your best tips and tricks for finding locations? Since that's like the big question everybody has.
I tell everybody, go with the low-lying fruit first. Low-lying fruit first. And what I mean by that statement is tell everybody you know that you want to get into vending. Everybody. Doesn't matter who. Anybody you know, tell them this is what you're thinking of doing, because the odds are pretty good. Somebody's going to say, hey, you know what? I've got a barber shop. I mean, you're not going to make a lot of money at a barber shop, but somebody's going to have a location for you. So go after those first. The other way to get locations, a lot of knocking on doors. I had a little routine to build businesses. My routine was maybe not as conventional as other people, but I would go around, I would set out one day a week, and that one day I would drive all over the place that day. And I would take notes on places I thought would be good for vending. I would go in, I would try to drop off a business card. If I couldn't see anybody, I would take notes and say, okay, the receptionist said that it's Joe Smith I got to talk to. And then the following day, if I could, I would call all those places that I thought were potential clients or potential stops. And I did that every week until I was at a point where I was happy with the collections I was doing.
Go ahead. You got something, Kashief?
Yeah, I was just going to ask. So when it comes to, scaling, scaling your business, okay, we're finding locations, and whatnot, right? That's one method. Those are a few methods that you use. I know you also mentioned that you purchased the route before.
I have never purchased a route. I would rather build it myself. I'm not saying it's a bad idea to purchase a route, but me personally, I have never done that.
Okay, what's your opinion on that? If it's somebody trying to, kind of scale their business, do you think it's a good idea for somebody to purchase a route if they're new, if they're in the game already? What's your thoughts on that?
I've heard so many horror stories about guys who have purchased routes. The best tip or best advice I can give those people is do as much homework on you as you can on those stops that you're going to be buying. Check their revenue. Make sure they can give you a printout of the credit card readers so you see exactly what those stops are making. I don't know. I hear horror stories about people that they want to quit their 9 to 5 so bad that they have a little bit of money in their pocket and it's burning a hole in their pocket and they just want to buy something because they think they're going to make money doing it. I just had a phone call from a guy who was a retired police officer. He had money to invest. He didn't do his homework. He didn't look into it at all. Somebody approached him and said, hey, I have this route that I want to sell. He was like, okay, I'm in. And he spent like $60,000 on machines that don't have credit card readers on them. They're old as could be. I don't even think they can be upgraded to credit card readers. And now he's realizing how much work is entailed and he wants to dump it. He wants to sell it off as quick as he can because he didn't do his homework. So to answer your question, if you're going to buy something from somebody, do your due diligence and look into it as the best you can.
I come from the mindset of I built a power washing business from the ground, from the back of my pickup truck to having a couple trucks and multiple employees. And, I know other guys who buy the business already established. To me, you have to do way more homework to do that, like you're saying, and I don't think I'm good at that. I'd rather build it. That way I know what I'm getting into as I step into the water, kind of wading through murky water and shuffling my feet as I go. That's my analogy for it. It feels safer. You can spend a lot of money on something. So you're high level. I mean, you're doing over $2 million. What systems would you say? Because I'm assuming here that you're not in that business every single day. It's not a job for you. It's a business. What systems do you have in place or do you think need to be in place for a vending machine operation to be able to operate where you can step away for, let's say you go on a vacation, things don't fall apart?
I have friends of mine who bust my chops all the time and they're like, oh, it must be nice. I'm an avid snowmobiler. Once snowmobile season starts, I ride once a week, no matter what.
What
I
do you
try to go as often as I can. I'm also an avid fisherman, but it's taken me 30 years to get to this point. I'll call it luck. I've gone through a ton of employees to get the right guys. And right now I have the right group of guys who I'm actively involved in the business. I do a lot of repairs myself, but my employees are great. I don't have to worry about them. I tell them, look, I don't care when you start. I don't care when you finish, as long as the work gets done.
I love
I
that.
do follow up on them occasionally. In the beginning, I used to follow up with them a lot more, but yeah, you got to have the right people around you. Otherwise, the business is going to fall apart.
That's the
So,
there.
yeah, that's the key.
Zig, I got one. I got one because as somebody who's at the point now where I'm trying to figure out how to, and you and Zig, you hit the right on the head. The systems, right? The systems is it's tougher than it seems, right? Because if when you're at a 9 to 5 job, right, and you go into a position, all those systems are already in place. You're kind of just following it along, and you're learning how to use the systems that are already there. But when you're building your own business from scratch, you're putting all those systems in place, right? Like, so I know, for example, like it's software that you can use, right, to track, what the machines need and different things like that. Could you touch on that a little bit? Because that, for me, I struggle with I don't struggle with my own personal systems. I struggle with putting systems in place for other people to follow, because when I run a business, it's running fine, right? But when I hire people to do what I'm doing, it's like it starts to fall apart. And then I have to hire new people. And then at this point, I just said, you know what? I need a break. I'm going to do this for myself, for a while. And then, once I feel like I get better systems in place, I'll go ahead and start trying to hire somebody again. What systems do you feel like you have in place that's making things run smooth? Even though obviously the type of person is very important, right? But what other systems are there that's making them be able to handle the task?
I'm a firm believer that people work for people they like, I guess you could say. Again, I'll repeat myself. It's taken me a while to get to this point and understand that I can't do everything. I've had many days where I come home and I want to rip my hair out. And, I just had to kind of allow or delegate. I guess I had to delegate a lot of the work to be done. You have to create systems, things that are going to work for you. So I'll give you an example. I text an awful lot. I always say I text more than a 16-year-old girl. We communicate, all of my drivers and myself communicate through text messages for many reasons. Many reasons besides just that it's easier, but it's also a way that we can go back and say, look, it was texted to you on August 1st at 2:30. We had this conversation. So I'm getting a little off topic, but the systems that we have in place have evolved, I guess, over time, that have made it work a little more smoothly for us.
In vending, I don't know, early on in power washing and home service, there was we have a CRM that manages our customers, and basically our employees use that as well to manage their jobs, and they see where the job is, and they can send the invoice when they're done, and just clicking buttons, and then I don't have to do any of that stuff. I don't even know if there's stuff like that in vending, to keep track of inventory, and because I'm so new, and all I have is smart machine, so it pretty much keeps track of all that stuff for me. So I never knew what you were saying, Kashief, about systems. I wasn't. Are there systems like that out there to kind of organize the business and keeping track of I would like something for my inventory is in my garage right now because we're small enough to keep it in there. It's all in my head what I need, but I need a system. I know that at a certain point when I start having my employees from my other business come over and do this business, I'm not gonna be able to put that in what's in my head into theirs, and I need a system in place for them to be able to see what we need and how to be able to put something in where, hey, we need Pepsis, we need that kind of stuff. Are there systems out there for that?
There are inventory management programs that you can buy that will keep track of all of your inventory.
Yeah.
We have some inventory management programs that will throw us red alerts or alerts when inventory is getting low. We know what we have to put into every one of the machines because we're keeping track of exactly what's in that machine and the sales per machine. And each driver, one of the systems that we do is I kind of make each driver accountable for his route. So if you were to work for me, it's almost like you have your own business. That truck is your warehouse. You have to keep track of it. So we have sheets that keep a running inventory of what's in their truck at all times. We also, once a week, we take an inventory of what's in their truck just so that we know, or he knows, what he has and what he needs. But to answer your question, there are inventory management programs that will keep track of your warehouse, keep track of your machines, to make it a lot easier for you.
So, and we can talk more about that in another episode too, but I wanted to get back on track with your business. You're doing over $2 million. How many locations? What does that look like as far as locations, like number of locations?
Right now, that is 382 machines out on location. That is a total of about 30 different accounts. One of our accounts, a little, I'll say lucky. I have one account that has 126 assets in one account.
Oh my
In
gosh.
one location, I have 126 vending machines. Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe. I have, they say it's one of the largest retail outlets in the world. I have 80 soda machines and 26 snack machines there.
How did you get that one?
That took me my entire career to get that. And that's no exaggeration. That is an account I've wanted the entire time I started vending. And I used to call them, going back to how do you get accounts, I used to call them sometimes every month. Sometimes I'd let it slide and it would be every couple months. This is a funny story, actually. I was sharing an account with the gentleman who was sharing an account with him, and the account that I was sharing with him, I could see his machines look dirty. They didn't look filled. That was my in, I thought. I called the account. I'm like, if he's doing that at this small account, he's got to be doing this elsewhere also. So I just happened to call the account, and they said, you called at the right time. You just got lucky. So some of it's luck, some of it's perseverance.
That's like winning a lottery.
When they called me back, I saw their number on my caller ID, and I was like, this has got to be a wrong number. This can't be. And yeah, they were just at the right time at the right place.
Wait, did you put in
how
the
many
126?
trucks do you got working that route, or all those routes?
I have, in that particular account right there, I have 2 drivers that are there every single day, 7 days a week. During the busy season, sometimes there's 3 of them there. But total, I'll say we run 4 routes. We really run 3.5 routes, or 3.5 trucks, but we'll call it 4.
So how many cases of soda are you going through in a summer?
July and August are my busiest. I'm doing about $200,000 to $250,000 in just soda in the month of August.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a lot.
All right. Are we talking numbers a little bit here? What does profit margins look like at scale, at a big?
So I'm a little different than your average operator. I don't take just about any account anymore. I try to make sure that every time my driver goes to a machine, he's collecting as close to $100 per machine per collection. The reason being is it's a little more expensive for me to send a driver to a machine than it would be for, let's say, another vendor that might be operating from a garage, because now I have insurance, I have trucks, I got gasoline, I've got a lot more expenses. My profit margin right now, I'm going to say, is you're looking at probably about 30 to 40%.
That's pretty good. That's good.
I try to do as close to that as possible.
Those are good numbers. What, get back to the trucks. I'm super interested, and this might be something that nobody's interested in, but what kind of trucks? You said that their truck is like a warehouse, their warehouse. Do you have like a warehouse where all your inventory is, and then the trucks also have stock that just stays in the truck? And how does that work with like temperatures and stuff?
So yes, I do have a warehouse that has all product in the warehouse, and they fill their trucks from our warehouse. Inventory in the trucks, depending on the season, can be difficult. Summertime, we try to reduce the amount of chocolate that we have, because chocolate will obviously melt in the trucks. We have a system in place where we use dry ice in coolers, and we try to keep our chocolate in those coolers. I mean, people sometimes think, oh, vending is easy, but what they don't see is a hot summer day in July when it's 100 degrees outside, it's 110 in the back of that truck. So we try to keep coolers in the back of the trucks to keep the chocolate from melting. Wintertime, we try to reduce the amount of diet sodas we do, because if you leave your truck overnight, that diet soda is going to explode. Just any of the soda that doesn't have sugar in it freezes up quicker. So we do have to keep track of what's on that truck and remove stuff when it gets too cold or too hot.
This is how I knew I am in vending. I had no idea that there was a difference with diet pops and regular pops with freezing.
Oh yeah, you're not from New York because you call it pop.
Yeah, Michigan, Detroit. My wife's from the South, and she calls it Coke. She calls everything Coke, which doesn't make any sense. She's got
All
some.
right, Matt. Yeah, Matt, I have a few questions for you because I know, some of what the people always ask. What are your top earning locations? And like if you don't mind sharing, like what are those locations earning? Maybe like your top three or something like that.
So there's a difference between top earning locations and top profitable locations. And what I mean by that is I know in other parts of the country, they don't do commission. They don't pay back a commission to the location. I have some locations where our commission is high, but the pricing has to be high also. To answer your question, best or top earning accounts, I'll say the top profitable and top earning accounts are ones that have a lot of foot traffic in it. Obviously, any warehouses we do very well in. I pose to a lot of our warehouse accounts when we get the account, I say, look, there's many ways to do vending. We can give you a commission from the machines, but we're going to have to inflate the prices in order to give you a commission. And I say, you don't want to make money off of your employees, right? And they always say, no, no, no. We just want the best price possible and the best service possible. I say, oh, or we can give you vending at a subsidy. We can put the machines in here. We can make the soda, let's say, a quarter. And then for every can of soda that sells, we're going to build the company another dollar on top of that to make up for the amount that's sold. So there's many ways to do vending, but again, I'm sorry to get off the topic there. To answer your question, the accounts that are the best earning accounts are the ones that have the most amount of people that are actually in the building. I get people that call me all the time. I had one the other day that was a highway department, and he said, oh, we have 100 people here. Yeah, you have 100 people there, but you're a highway department. So those probably 80 of those people are out on the road all day. So when you get accounts, you have to kind of look at all aspects of that account.
All right, very good points. My other question, since you did touch on it, is the commission. How many of your accounts? So you said, I know you said you had 300 and something pieces of equipment out. As out of your locations, how many of your accounts are you paying a commission on? And what percentage would you say you pay a commission on?
Try to do it as little as possible. In the beginning, when I first started, I was offering commission to everybody just because I wanted to get accounts. Now I'm very selective on who I give commission to, and I try to pose it to them like I said, you don't want to make money off of your employees, do you? I always say, look, commission accounts are more for transient locations like a shopping mall or a rest stop on a busy highway or a hotel, something like that. So I would say probably if I was to look at my business as a whole, the amount of accounts that have commission on it is probably, I'll say 15% of my business I give a commission to. The rest of them, I just give them average prices. I try to make it a little more affordable than if they were to go down the street to a convenience store, but it's going to be a little more than if they went to the supermarket and brought the stuff in themselves.
All right, and then what's like the average commission that you're paying?
Well, in New York, from what I understand, it's very high. The industry norm for New York, New Jersey area is pretty high. It's about 15 to 20%, I would say. I've heard a lot higher than that, but I've heard a lot lower than that also.
And then my
I have
last question that
accounts.
I got for you right now, you mentioned earlier that you send the staff to pick up like, the cash and whatnot, right? So what's keeping your staff honest? How do you know they're bringing back the right amount?
My old man used to say what keeps people honest is the fear of getting caught. I have to go a step further than that. All of our machines have a credit card reader on there. And that credit card reader keeps track of everything, not just credit cards. It keeps track of dollars, coins, credit, debit. It keeps track of everything. So when they collect that machine, I have a record of what's supposed to be there, both for myself and to make sure I'm keeping them honest. So each one of our machines, when they collect it, it goes into a collection bag. Each machine will have its own collection bag. Each bag has a tag inside of it that says what the machine is, what the machine number is. And then when that goes back to our office and it gets counted, each bag gets counted and looked to see, okay, this is machine number 123. It's from XYZ location. We look online or on our system. It says there's supposed to be $100 in there. We make sure there's $100 in there. If there's not, there's got to be a reason for it. Now, back to systems again, each time a driver goes to the machine and he puts change in that machine, if for some reason he puts change in the machine and there's not enough cash to take out to justify the change he just put in, he has to let us know. That gets a little confusing. Let's say you go to the machine, you put a $10 roll of quarters in there, but there's not $10 in that machine to take out. He has to let somebody know, hey, I just put $10 in here, but I don't have cash to make up for that. So the credit card readers on our machines keep track of everything.
Okay. And then my last question, I know I'm asking a lot of questions.
No,
So
please
as
do.
somebody who owns, that many machines, you own over 300 machines, what's your go-to machines? Like what type of machine would you recommend, somebody using if they're just getting started in the business?
Most of our beverage machines are Dixie Narco or vending machines made by Royal. Almost every one of our beverage machines are Dixie Narco or Royal. Just about every one of our snack machines are Crane Nationals. Now, I do have some USI, I have some AMS machines, but a majority, I try to keep all of the same machines out there so that I'm not inventorying parts from all sorts of machines. I've also found that Crane National is in my opinion, one of the most reliable snack vending machines there is. I know somebody will be out there that will disagree with me, I'm sure, but yeah, I have all Crane National snack machines and all Dixie and Royal beverage machines.
Can I ask a question? Definitely. I know you talked about like a lot of success inside the business. Like I've been just taking a bunch of notes here. What do you think the biggest mistakes that you see people make in vending before we go to like I know you have a warm out vending business as well before we touch into that. What do you think you see like the biggest mistakes that let's say we can start with newbies and then pro vending machine business owners make?
Big mistakes. You put in the beginning, you take anything that comes your way. You'll take any account there is. I've heard people say, well, that machine's going to make more money in the tire shop, we'll say, than it is in my warehouse. That's not necessarily true. And to explain that further, if you put a snack machine in a location that really isn't doing many sales, you now have to worry about product going out of date. Now, if you have product going out of date, that's lost revenue right there. You're going to end up throwing out that product. If you're going to that machine, let's say once a week or even once a month, and you're not pulling out enough money to justify your time and your expenses, that's costing you money. So that statement, when people say, well, it's making more money than it would in my warehouse, that's true. But if you really dial it down, it could be a big money suck also. So that's a big mistake. Another thing that we were talking about, people making mistakes buying routes when they don't look into the sales. They just want to get out of their 9 to 5 and they just have money in their pocket that's burning a hole in them. They don't do their homework. They don't do their due diligence to make sure that it's profitable. So those are two big mistakes that people make in the beginning. As a larger operator, I've made more mistakes than I can count. But you learn more by your mistakes than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Let's roll into your wall mount vending machines. I'm interested to know about these. Tell us about your wall mounts. Like, what are you putting in them? Where do these go? What kind of location?
So I started this wall mount business completely by accident. One of my largest accounts, they were using a vending machine by another operator. I'm not going to name it, but it was an immense machine and it sold everything from aspirins to cough medicine to feminine products, but it took up a ton of space. So the general manager of our largest account said, can you do me a favor and find something smaller? So I went home that night and I thought about it and I ended up getting a machine that would mount on the wall and I figured I'd give it a try. So we mounted the first machine near the restroom that was the busiest in this account. We put in things like Tylenol, Advil, Motrin, feminine products. The profit margin was huge. We were buying Tylenol at $1.12. We were selling that Tylenol at $5.75. We were buying feminine products at 6 cents. We were selling it at $1.75. It was a huge hit from the first machine we put out. That machine at the busiest time was doing $100 a day. From there, the general manager said, you got to get me more of these. So we put 15 more in that account. The best one there does $100 a day. The worst one there is doing probably $100 a week. They started telling other people that they knew. We started getting people calling us like crazy, asking us to put these wall machines into their accounts. So it kind of started by accident. Um, it's all touchscreen. You can see the machines on wall-mounted-vending.com. We've made a website where we're actually selling them to operators throughout the United States. It's a great machine. It's all touchscreen. It's only credit card. We personally have not put bill validators on there, but you can. Our slogan right now is you can sell just about anything, just about anywhere, because it goes right on the wall, doesn't take up any floor space, takes up minimal space, and it's more of a need vending than a want. You go to a snack machine, you want a bag of M&Ms. You go to our wall machine, you got a toothache, you need a Motrin. You're a female, you need a feminine product. I mean, I think that's why it's been so successful.
And where and what kind of locations are these going in and doing well?
So we've had them right now in every place, from literally, no exaggeration, from a mall. We have them in malls. We have them in a golf course. We have them in a theme park. We have them in a hospital. The hospital, I was kind of hesitant. The guy who runs the hospital said, I need something so that when the little old lady who runs the gift shop decides she wants to close at 2 PM, I need something here so that people can still get chapstick. Or we started importing phone chargers and selling phone chargers in there. We started selling earbuds. So really, when I say you can sell just about anywhere, it really can go just about any place you can think of.
It's interesting.
We've been putting them in bars. You can put them in a bar, and you could sell also feminine products, biggest seller. You could sell condoms. You could sell aspirins. You could sell just about anything.
I have a wall-mounted vending machine in a bar that's got Zins and vapes in it.
There you go. Yep. We personally have not gotten into what's that?
It's in the wrong bar. It doesn't sell very many vapes, but
We personally haven't got into vapes, but a lot of people that we're selling the machines to have been using it to sell vapes and Zins and doing extremely well.
well, cool, man.
Again, that's wall-mounted-vending.com.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You'll be able to see the picture. We're going to put a picture up so that they'll put it up in posts. That way people can see what it looks like. And then maybe we can even get a video that we can post on our socials so that people can see what that looks like. But hey, man, it's been great. I really appreciate you coming on. You're our first guest. It's been very, very
Thanks for having me.
been very informative. I'm sure our listeners are going to love it just as much as we did. So again, we appreciate you coming on, and maybe we'll have you on again in the future.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, cool. Thanks for listening to another episode of Vend Talk. We'll be back with another episode next week. Let us know how you like the show so far.